this video is going to be a little bit different because unlike turbochargers and all that stuff, I'm also into sound systems, and I just want to bring you guys along and tell you guys what I'm doing right here. We used to have this single 12-inch subwoofer here, this Wolfenhag 1000 watts here. Here are some specifications, and we paired it up with the power acoustic amplifier. Hey, come here. However, the subwoofer started giving us a lot of problems time after time, which we clearly took it all apart and disposed of some parts. But these wires right here that provide signal would always break off with the motion of the subwoofer. I kept soldering them in, and then eventually I think the other lines that run into the subwoofer, like the main ones, I'm not familiar with the name, they finally disconnected and went bad. And it takes a lot from what I hear to repair that. It's almost not worth it. You're better off just getting a new subwoofer. The power acoustic amp was pretty good. Hey. I know I have been running it on one channel because one of the channels is broken, and I think it's like 250 watts RMS per channel. So that's what I ran it, you know. The subwoofer, it says 1000. I'm sure the RMS is much lower, but it sounded good. My buddy just came through and let me borrow his sound system that he picked up, and this is actually a 10-inch. So this was a 12-inch, this is a 10-inch. This is the Scar Audio, and this is the specific model I'll list down here below. This is going for about $140 for a speaker. It's in a vented subwoofer box compared to this one, which was a sealed box. I'm not sure if, for the audio guys, which box is better. Is a vented box better, or is a sealed box better? You let me know. This one's definitely a bigger box. Even though this is a 10-inch, it's a bigger box than this 12-inch, so I'm sure that has some effect on sound, because I tell you guys, this 10-inch hits pretty dang good, especially the high end, the high power bass. It's pretty amazing. I was running this subwoofer with my 250 watt RMS amp, but he also provided me with a dedicated Pioneer monoblock amplifier over here. This runs for about 250. So we're gonna connect this monoblock with the Scar subwoofer, and we'll see how it sounds. This one, I believe, provides 500-600 RMS, so pretty much 2 to 3 times more powerful than this amp, and we'll see how it sounds. So when it comes to wiring and electrical, I'm no fanatic, and I just know the very, very basics. And it seems like this one was obviously a dual voice coil subwoofer, so you have connections on both ends, and it looked like it produced 4 ohms on each side, which you can probably do a couple of wiring diagram bridges, which you can run to a 2 ohm amplifier, which this was a 2 ohm stable. So I believe we were running this one, we bridged the coils into 2 ohms. This speaker we took out, it already is a dual 2 ohm speaker, 1000 watt RMS. I believe it's 1500 watts max, and as you can see, these speakers are already connected independently going to the amplifier. There's no bridging, see, because bridging would be like from positive to positive, negative to negative, and then you take one terminal out to the amplifier. I got the Pioneer. This is a Class D monoblock amplifier. I checked the specs. It's about a $250 amplifier right over here, as you can see. And let's check the specs real quick. You can have 800 watts RMS at 1 ohm, which is 1 ohm stable. The way we have it wired right now, we took in each individual coil and just wired it to each individual channel. So one coil goes to one channel, the other coil is wired to the other channel. This gives us about 500 watts RMS, which again, compared to the old system, was about 200, 250. And I know you guys are probably confused about all these RMSs, and just a quick Google search tells me the higher the ohms, right? The higher the ohms, means that the electrical signal can travel through those wires easier to give that subwoofer power in order to create bass. So the higher the ohms, such as a 4 or a 2, okay, let's go with a 4 ohms and a 1 ohm. That 4 ohm is going to deliver that power easier to the subwoofer, and you're going to just get a cleaner, so supposedly a cleaner sound with bigger bass. If you want full-on max bass punch kick power, right, this is where you're going to the 1 ohm. The 1 ohm is going to create that epic knockout punch, but everything below that volume, right, it can be lacking a little bit. So I'm experimenting. This is kind of new to me. I've never really messed around and compared ohms and the sound quality. So again, we're gonna hit the 500 watts RMS at 2 ohms, which again, this subwoofer is 2 ohms stable. We'll run it for about a week. Then we're gonna convert the wires. We're probably gonna rewire these, bridge these together into one channel, or whatever else diagram I find online, and we're gonna test out the 800 watts RMS at 1 ohm. So I'm just about finished wiring everything up. I'm gonna turn the keys, see if we got power and everything's working, and then we're gonna pop this in. This is a pretty crazy sub. I mean, it's affordable, looks pretty good. 32 pounds, guys, 32 pounds for this 10-inch, so definitely has some weight to it. All right, a little bit of messing around in the vehicle. Let me show you guys what we came up with. So we got the amplifier on the side here. Easily we can adjust the gain and frequency if we need to. We got it strapped down with a bungee cord connected to the chassis there. Not the best, but still helps it stay in the middle. Here I went a little crazy. I decided to remove a lot of the components here, not just for the subwoofer reason. The only reason I did that is because we're actually going to be replacing the headliner, and I don't know at what point in the timeline I'm at with this video and the headliner video, but we removed the old headliner. We're going to do a Starlight kit on here, and just removing a lot of these components is going to make it easier to fit that the headliner through here. I don't want to bend it too much, so this will help. I may even end up removing like the seats or the center console here just to get that headliner in without creasing it. So yeah, this is gonna sound great. Removing this plastic piece actually does eliminate millions and millions of rattles. Man, I used to sticker bomb this back in the day. I thought I was cool, but anyway, I do think this driver's side speaker is blown, because when I tweaked the audio from back to front, left to right, I didn't hear anything coming out of this end, so I'm gonna double check it. But this is gonna sound amazing right now with this open compartment, no rattles over here. Yeah, let's give it a go. So obviously for copyright reasons I can't show too much, but bass midway, treble up at 5. And that was a good song. I want to show you how well it wangs over here. So honestly, it's been about a week, and we were experimenting with this subwoofer here and the Pioneer amp. We ran this at 2 ohms, and then we converted it, I believe it, which was 1 ohms, which would have been 800 watts. And my experience, just based off the sound, the 0 ohms wiring definitely made it more powerful. Before, I would have to be on like 27, 28 volume to get that nice deep bass that I wanted. And with the 0 ohms wiring diagram, it definitely sounded louder, probably around like 20 and upwards. So that definitely did sound better. And right now we actually got another sub. This is a different box. It's actually much slimmer box than you can see this old box. And it's a 10-inch Resilient Sounds subwoofer here. And this also, I believe, we're gonna take it out of the box here, but I believe this is a 2 ohm wired 500 RMS sound system, and I've been just running it right now for about a day with the Pioneer, and it's definitely not as robust as the Scar Audio one. And again, we're running less amps on this, but it doesn't sound terrible. Like, it doesn't have that top end as the Scar, but like the mid-range and everything, it's just pleasant. It's not as powerful, but it is overall pleasant to listen to. So what I'm gonna do actually now, I'm gonna switch out the subwoofers. I'm gonna put the Resilient in the Scar box. I'm gonna put the Scar in the Resilient box, and we're also gonna rule out box sizes and the effects of audio quality, because obviously we ran this one already. We're gonna see how the Scar sounds on the smaller box. It is ported, as you guys can see. It is a ported box, but from my research that I've been doing the last couple of days and whatnot, there's so many things that affect the sound quality, right? One thing is the box, whether it's ported or vented. Most people say vented is more ideal, and the box size is obviously important. Too big of a box is not going to give you that great of a result, and too small of a box is going to limit the output. The last box that I had, again, was sealed box, but it did sound good. I don't know if over time it stresses the amplifier or not, but yeah, we're going to experiment. And then eventually what I'm going to do, I'm going to wire up my old amp. This is, again, the Power Acoustic. I want to power up the Power Acoustic with the Resilient Sounds subwoofer in this box, and we'll see how that sounds. I'm probably going to be looking for a 12-inch subwoofer with at least like 300, 400, 500 RMS to run with my old box. Now you guys are probably asking yourself, where are you getting all these subs from? Why aren't you running the more powerful one? Well, these sound systems here and that amplifier are actually my buddy Kessos from work. He's big into sound systems and whatnot, so he's been like throwing me a bone, and he all his cars got sound systems. These are extra systems he has, and he's like, hey, play around with it. I don't need them right now for any vehicle, so it helps me just enjoy. And I'm also learning at the same time what works better, what works, and what doesn't work. All right, as you guys can see, we got the Scar 10-inch versus the Resilient Sound, and just take a look at that comparison between magnets and size. Even though the Resilient's not that small, it's pretty beefy as well. But yeah, 1000 watts. Let's take a look what we got here. 4 ohms, 500 RMS. Not too bad. We're gonna swap them out right now. This is the box we're looking at. Much smaller, and you can actually see where it's wired. One voice coil is linked to the second voice coil, and from this voice coil it goes to the amplifier pretty much. This creates from 4 ohms to 2 ohms for the speaker. Box and the same subwoofer, the Resilient sounds better. Probably a good significant amount with the bigger ported box. The size is bigger, the port is bigger, and running it just about the same volume as before. There's much deeper bass. It's greater as well. So ohms, more ohms, more power. The bigger the box, and obviously ported, more power. this sub with this box sounds much better, man. Honestly, it sounds solid, very comparable to this car with that box, so I'm happy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and I finally found what I was looking for. Well, kinda. Come check this out. So thank you, Kesso, for finding me a subwoofer online. We actually ended up buying a DB Drive WDX 2K 12-inch subwoofer here to use with my original box that I had in the car the whole time. This is a 12-inch box. The resilient sound with the big ported box sounded pretty decent. This one's running 500 watts RMS. This one, on the other hand, guys, I'm going to show you the backside. It's going to be much more powerful. So this one right over here, 12-inch sub, 2000 watts, 4 ohm dual voice coil sound system subwoofer, designed and engineered in the USA. It's ironic because somewhere else it said made in China, but pretty hefty subwoofer here. Had some good reviews. I think they used to make these, and these were quite popular about 4 years ago, but came across it. The guy was asking about $100. It was about a 45-minute drive. We actually negotiated for $60, so not bad at all. Clearly the wiring is kind of bridged already in parallel, so I believe it should be running 2 ohms right now. And let me just pull up the specs right now, but I think it's 1000 watts RMS on this one, which would be similar to this 10-inch Scar that we just rode in that car that we used, and that Scar was freaking pretty beastly. So I'm hoping that the 12-inch is a beast too, although again this is a sealed enclosure. This one was a ported, so we'll see how that sounds. I'm gonna go ahead, install it, wire it in. I'm gonna wire it in currently to into the Pioneer amp, which supports more power, but eventually we're gonna backtrack and go with our power acoustic amp. I'm just curious, man, because that subwoofer can handle a lot of power, but my amp only pushes out about 200 RMS. So I'm curious, can you blow the amp by having too powerful of a subwoofer? I gotta do some research, but both that amp right there has been dealing with a lot of abuse over the years. So if it blows, it blows. We'll just upgrade and go from there. Right, let's get it. Time to test it out. Pop it in the car and power it on. I threw the subwoofer in with the amp with the same gain and frequency settings I've had it set on with all the boxes that I've been running, and it actually didn't sound too impressive. And again, I can't just compare speakers here because I'm changing boxes from sealed to ported and all these other aspects of a 10-inch woofer to a 12-inch woofer. But once I was able to turn up the gain a little bit and the frequency just a hair, the woofer started sounding much better, and I'm really happy with the purchase here. Again, we got it for $60. It fits, it looks good, and it works. And I think that's a wrap for today's video, guys. Again, I'm gonna drive it a couple days here and then throw on my regular amp and go from there, see how it sounds. My amp has a lot more options on it with like low pass filter, high pass filter, frequency gain. It has a lot more things and knobs you can control compared to this one. So we'll keep experimenting, but one step closer. Finally got my own sound in here. on a budget, of course, and we're moving forward with more projects here that we're planning for the 8th gen Civic. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and there's more things coming your way.